Hello and welcome to Indian Express Opinion Videos. Today is the second day of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit in Israel. He was received very warmly by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport yesterday, and since then the Israeli Prime Minister has been at Modi's side. But to talk about this visit, the importance of it, the significance of it, I have with me on the other end of the line Shubhajit Roy, Indian Express's ace correspondent. Shubhajit, tell us, what happened on day two? What was so special about this day on the PM's visit?
The bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took place at this historic King David Hotel. The backdrop was very interesting because in 1946 there was a big terror attack, a bombing in which 91 people were killed in this hotel. And from this hotel, both condemned terrorism as one of the top threats, top challenges facing both the countries. They agreed to cooperate on the field of counterterrorism cooperation, and they also agreed to enhance the defense cooperation through co-production and joint development in the field of defense under the Make in India umbrella. But the Israeli president had an interesting suggestion that it should not just be Make in India but also Make with India. Apart from that, there were about 7 agreements cutting across water, agriculture, innovation, research and space, all cutting-edge technologies in which Israel is considered to be a leading country in all these fields.
Shubhajit, the Prime Minister has been talking about India living in a very tough neighborhood, and Bibi Netanyahu responding in kind. Now, is terrorism, or India's fight against terror as well as Israel's fight against terror, is that a major plank in their conversation today?
Yes, of course. Terrorism is one of the major planks in the conversation because, both countries are faced with this menace, this scourge of terrorism. India, in fact, just before the meeting, 24 hours before the meeting, Mark Sofer, who is one of the top officials in Israeli Foreign Ministry, he said that Israel backs India's concerns on terrorism emanating out of Pakistan, hook, line and sinker. That was his quote. And in fact, that set the stage for a very, very interesting and productive conversation between the two leaders, the Indian Prime Minister and the Israeli Prime Minister.
Now, one of the more interesting highlights of the Prime Minister's visit is his meeting with the family of baby Moshe. Well, baby Moshe is no longer a baby, he's 10 years old. But we know of him as the child who survived the Mumbai attacks in 2008. He was almost 2 years old then. Now this lovely story of an Indian Prime Minister meeting a young Israeli child or a Jewish child who lived in India for the first 2 years of his life. Tell us what happened, Shubhajit, after that meeting.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he met Moshe, who is now 10.5-year-old. He, as you remember, was the only survivor from his family during the horrific 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, where both his parents were brutally killed by terrorists in Bombay in 2008. Moshe has been staying with his grandparents, his maternal grandparents in Afula. It's about 80-90 kilometers away from Jerusalem. The Indian nanny Sandra, who saved this boy's life, lives in Jerusalem and visits him over the weekends. Moshe is, as Sandra told me in an exclusive interview yesterday, that he still likes Indian food. He watches soccer football like any young preteen boy would. Some of his favorite football players are Messi and Ronaldo. However, she said that I'm waiting for him to ask those questions about his parents, which he has not yet asked her. And she said that those horrific moments are still ingrained in her mind like a movie or like a picture.
Now, Shubhajit, you have been to the Palestinian territories not far from Jerusalem. So tell us, how are the Palestinians responding to an Indian Prime Minister coming to Israel for the first time ever? Do they feel abandoned by India? The fact that India in 1948 voted against the state of Israel, against the existence of Israel, because it was being carved out of the Palestinian territories. What are the Palestinians saying today about India's foreign policy vis-a-vis Palestine and Israel?
Prime Minister Narendra Modi chose to visit Israel and not visit Palestine. He departed from this convention, which was followed by previous Indian leaders, especially 3 foreign ministers and the Indian president, who used to come and visit both the countries. However, this time the Indian government decided to dehyphenate the relationship between India's relationship with Israel vis-a-vis India's relationship with Palestine. And the Palestinians have expressed disappointment quite obviously. However, India has told them that their support towards Palestinian cause remains as before. And they also pointed out the Palestinian president have visited in India in May this year, and that shows that their support has faced no dilution.
Shubhajit, thank you so much for explaining this very important story of the Indian Prime Minister's visit. We know that he's going to Haifa tomorrow to pay homage at the cemetery where thousands of Indian soldiers lay down their lives for the British Army in the First World War. Of course, there's lots more on the PM's plate tomorrow in Israel. Meanwhile, thank you so much for watching.